With a purposeful grimace and a terrible sound, this week's episode looks at the basics on Cybertron's very own kaiju, the Decepticon dinosaur titan, TRYPTICON. The original TRYPTICON toy was first released in 1986. He was one of the first Transformers that today we call Titans, huge robots who transform into entire cities. Designed as a Decepticon counterpart to the Autobot Titan Metroplex, the TRYPTICON toy stood 12 inches tall and had 3 modes: a dinosaur robot mode with motorized walking action, a city for small Decepticon toys to interact with, and a rolling battle station. His city mode could be expanded by attaching the Decepticon's Motormaster and Onslaught to it in their base modes. TRYPTICON came packaged with the small Decepticon Full Tilt, who transformed into a car and became TRYPTICON's chest plate, and the tank Brunt, who was formed by combining the towers of TRYPTICON's city mode. Marvel Comics writer Bob Budiansky wrote a profile for TRYPTICON that characterized him as a remorseless killing machine. He hated everyone and everything, including his fellow Decepticons. But it was all a cover for the fact that he hated himself most of all, for allowing himself to be used as a weapon for a cause he didn't believe in a war he thought was boring and pointless. However, this profile was ignored by the Transformers animated series, which instead depicted TRYPTICON as just a big, dumb beast who spoke in fragmented sentences.
Well, Metroplex, you promised me Metroplex, me smash him!
Introduced in the cartoon's 3rd season, TRYPTICON was created in the year 2005 by the Constructicons, who built him out of a human city. Spotlight adventures for TRYPTICON in the series saw him destroy the Autobots' volcano headquarters, steal various national monuments for Middle Eastern dictator Abdul Faqqadi, and clash multiple times with his Autobot rival Metroplex. Battles that usually ended with TRYPTICON being hurled into the nearest body of water. Full Tilt and Brunt didn't really appear in the cartoon, only showing up as parts of TRYPTICON's various modes. But TRYPTICON would appear in quite a bit of spin-off media and merchandise in Japan, and they did make some appearances in stories there. In fact, TRYPTICON himself actually appeared in the Japanese original direct-to-video special Scramble City a few months before his debut on American television, emerging from the ocean to battle Metroplex at the special's cliffhanger ending. This caused a notable continuity error, as it showed TRYPTICON to be active in the 1980s, 20 years before he was created according to the American series. Neither the cliffhanger nor the error would be resolved in any classic media. It wouldn't be until 2017 that an explanation was provided in the Transformers Legends manga, which explained that TRYPTICON was blown to bits by Metroplex in the 80s, but Full Tilt survived, acting as a kind of black box that preserved TRYPTICON's life functions, which allowed him to be rebuilt 20 years later. Other Japanese original media in which TRYPTICON prominently featured included the 1987 sequel series Transformers: The Headmasters, and though his toy was discontinued in 1988, he returned in 1990's Transformers Zone as one of 9 Decepticon generals battling the Autobot Powered Masters over the legendary Zodiac. Back in America, TRYPTICON also appeared in Marvel's Transformers comic book, in which he was sent to Earth from Cybertron to attack the Autobots' headquarters, only to be fended off by the Dinobots. The comic depicted TRYPTICON as an intelligent bot, a bit more in line with Budiansky's character profile. Though oddly, the story replaced Full Tilt with a sycophantic little Decepticon named Wipeout. This issue was TRYPTICON's only appearance in the American comic, but he did reappear in a story exclusive to the United Kingdom's version of the series, helping to battle the zombie hordes of the Autobot mad scientist, Flame. In the 21st century, Trypticon has often featured in new Transformers media like comic books and video games, but it would be some time before he would have a truly major role again. In some stories he was a dumb beast, in others an intelligent bot. For example, his brief but memorable showing in the 2003 Dreamwave Productions miniseries War Within: The Dark Ages, which depicted him in a campy manner, as a cheerful and well-spoken chap who rather loved his job. But in still other stories, he appeared only as a lifeless, non-transforming city or building on Cybertron. For instance, a Trypticon prison was going to be featured in the Transformers animated cartoon, but the show was cancelled before it could appear. For years, he only got odd little toys, including one in the Transformers Classics toy line, recolored from Transformers Cybertron Scourge that transformed from robot to three-headed dragon, and another in the Device Label series, which became a working computer mouse. Odder still, a dedicated figure of Wipeout from the Marvel comic was released in Japan's Transformers United toy line. Trypticon's big return to the spotlight finally came in the 2010 video game War for Cybertron. In the game's story, which was expanded on in the tie-in novel Exodus, this version of Trypticon began life as a space station orbiting Cybertron, where scientists studied the dangerous Dark Energon. After the Decepticons seized the station, they modified it, giving it life and the ability to transform into a reptilian robot mode that served as the game's final boss. Deactivated by the Autobots in this final showdown, the game's 2012 sequel, Fall of Cybertron, detailed how Trypticon's offline body was then permanently rebuilt into the starship, the Nemesis, which went on to serve as the Decepticons' base of operations on Earth in the Transformers Prime cartoon. In this series, an infusion of Dark Energon briefly brought the ship to life again, only for it to turn on the Decepticons and have to be deactivated once more. As the 2010s continued, Trypticon would also rise to prominence in IDW Publishing's comic books. In IDW stories, Trypticon was a prehistoric beast from Cybertronian legend, who was long ago imprisoned beneath the planet's surface by Metroplex, until the Decepticons found and awakened him during the war. Initially just a mindless monster, he was granted intelligence when Megatron implanted part of the alien Quintesson Pentius's life force in his body. IDW's comics were the first to really explore the self-hating characterization from Trypticon's original profile, as after years of letting himself be used and abused as a weapon, he decided to seek a new, peaceful life that would finally bring him some happiness. He became the guardian of a new generation of young Cybertronian life, and served as the Earth Embassy on Cybertron, but would ultimately meet his end defending Earth against the monster planet Unicron. In 2015, Hasbro held a fan poll to determine the next figure in the huge Titan class range, and Trypticon won, leading to the release of a brand new toy of him in the Titans Return toy line in 2017. Standing 20 inches tall, the largest Decepticon figure ever made at the time, the toy featured the classic dinosaur and city modes, but in a nod to the War for Cybertron version of the character, reworked his battle station mode into a spaceship. Like the original toy, he came with full tilt, whose head now disconnected and transformed into the Titan Master Necro, based on Wipeout, while a complementary, fully transformable figure of Brunt was sold separately a few years later in 2019's Siege toy line. The release of this new toy earned Trypticon a major role in Machinima's Titans Return webtoon. Set in an era after the end of the war, this series saw Trypticon reactivated after years offline, when his remains were reanimated by the ghost of Starscream. Rampaging out of control, the reborn Trypticon battled Metroplex, Fortress Maximus, and both the Autobot and Decepticon combiners, but was eventually deactivated when Autobot scientist Perceptor used the Matrix of Leadership to expel Starscream from his body. The new toy was also released in Japan as part of the Transformers Legends line, which led to Trypticon's appearance in the aforementioned Legends manga. In addition to resolving that old continuity error, the manga also invented a new beast mode for Trypticon, inspired by one of the new forms taken by famous movie monster Godzilla in his 2016 film Shin Godzilla. And like that legendary king of monsters, we can be sure that Trypticon will rise up from the depths over and over to menace the Autobots, and Metroplex in particular, again and again. And those are the basics on Trypticon. Tell me about your favourite Trypticon story in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe for more videos about Transformers history and lore like this one. And get early access to new episodes by supporting the series on Patreon.